Shalom, Havarim. This is Devorah Kalik again from Bless Israel Network, and we're going to go into part 2 on our Chanukah series, and this will be the part that is for a basis of understanding about Chanukah. So, it says in, let me backtrack. The first thing to realize from the scriptures is that 8 days is a biblical pattern for dedication. Chanukah is kept for 8 days. And we also know that there's something else in the Bible that happens on the 8th day, and that is circumcision. In Exodus 22, verses 28 through 29, it says, "Do not hold back offerings from your granaries or your vats. You must give me the firstborn of your sons. Do the same with your cattle and your sheep. Let them stay with their mothers for 7 days, but give them to me on the 8th day." So this teaches us that whether it be sons or crops or animals, whatsoever Israel produced, it belongs to the Lord. In particular, we're talking about sons and animals that become gods on the 8th day. The 8th day is a pattern for sanctification and for dedication, as we will see. About 1500 BCE, we have the story of Moses completing the tabernacle. Numbers 7:1 tells us, when Moses finished setting up the tabernacle, he anointed it and consecrated it and all its furnishings. He also anointed and consecrated the altar and its utensils. And then verse 11 says that one leader from each tribe brought a gift for the dedication or Chanukah of the altar. Then verse 88 says, "These were the offerings of the dedication, Chanukah of the altar, after it was anointed. This is telling us that they Chanukkah'd the altar. You could say that they Chanukkah'd the temple, the tabernacle, but particularly the altar of the tabernacle before the sacrificial system could begin. According to Strong's Concordance, Chanukah means initiation, i.e. consecration, and dedication. It comes from the root word chanak, which means to narrow. Figuratively, it means to initiate or discipline, dedicate, or train up. Now in Leviticus 9, verse 1, verses 23 and 24, it says, "On the 8th day, Moses summoned Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel. Moses and Aaron then went into the tabernacle. When they came out, they blessed the people, and the glory of the Lord appeared to all the people. Fire came out from the presence of the Lord and consumed the burnt offering and the fat portions on the altar. And when all the people saw it, they shouted for joy and fell face down." Wow, I really can't even imagine how wonderful that must have been. The people are all gathered together. They've just finished building the tabernacle, and the priests are about to place the first sacrifices on the altar. And the glory of the Lord shows up. Fire comes down from heaven and consumes the first burnt offering. Wow, that really must have been something to see. Anyway, then we move to about 500 years later, 1000 BCE. In 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verses 1 and 9, it says, "When Solomon finished praying, fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of the Lord filled the temple. and the priests could not enter the temple of the Lord because the glory of the Lord filled it. On the 8th day, they held an assembly, for they had celebrated the dedication, Chanukah, of the altar and the feast for 7 days more. In other words, they celebrated the dedication. They Chanukkah'd the altar for 7 days more. There was also a dedication of the walls that were rebuilt in Nehemiah's time. Solomon dedicated the whole temple in 1 Kings 8, verse 63. And so what am I saying? I'm saying that Chanukah was not something invented during the time of the Maccabees. Chanukah was something that the Jewish people were already familiar with through the whole temple and sacrificial system and the dedication of the temple, the altar, all of the instruments that were made for the temple service. In 2 Chronicles chapter 28 and 29, we have a story about the wicked king named Ahaz. He defiled the temple by offering sacrifices to false gods. Then, when his son Hezekiah became king at the age of 25, he went in, he cleansed the temple, and rededicated it again. The lesson for us is that we need to get into our own temple, our body, and cleanse all the dark chambers and rededicate ourselves to the Lord. 8 days is the number in the Bible for sanctification and dedication. So that's it for part 2. Stay tuned for part 3 when we'll learn more about Chanukah and what it has to do with the glory of God. So shalom from Israel and leitchaot. See you later, and stay tuned and watch for part 3.